Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. This video is going to be a little different than usual because I had an Atari 800XL recently on the main channel that I was working on, and the whole computer was extremely filthy. The motherboard was not working and it was just super dirty. So I washed that under the tap, soap and water under the tap, but the keyboard was left horribly dirty as well. And weirdly enough, on the keyboard, I couldn't pull the keycaps off. I don't know why, but even though it's a mechanical style keyboard or something with sliders and switches and the PCB, I cannot get the keycaps off. And I'm pulling really hard with a keycap removal tool like this, and it feels like it's gonna break the switch. And I really don't wanna do that because the keyboard mainly works, although it does have several keys that don't work. And because I can't really get the keycaps off, I can't really try to put Deoxit or contact cleaner down them. So I think what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna take the keyboard out of the computer, I'm gonna wash the heck out of it and try to get it all working. So yep, that's what I'm gonna do in this video. And I shot a bunch of it on a phone, so it's all edited and the audio is gonna be bad, so I apologize for that, but that's why it's a second channel video. So let's get upstairs and get to the washing. So this is an 800XL keyboard. It's mechanical, so it's got a PCB, but it's extremely dirty and I'm unable to get the keycaps off. For whatever reason, I can't pull them off. Not sure why. Maybe they've been glued. It's quite a bend in the keyboard. Either way, I think what I'm gonna do is simply put the keyboard in the sink and just wash it with a brush. I have a little brush here and I'm going to just start by, doing this. And hopefully that'll help me clean it out a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, I'm gonna let the water warm up a bit. We'll apply some soap to the keyboard. Get my little brush handy and we'll just start cleaning. Now this keyboard already has issues, meaning several of the keys aren't working. So I don't know. Oh, gross. Okay, that just sprayed a bunch of dirty liquid there. Wow, this thing is dirty. The computer itself was filthy on the inside as well. Let's get this to a nice warm temperature. It's a bit hot there. Oh yeah, look at that. Dirty, dirty, dirty. I can't believe the color of the PCB. It's so light underneath there. So the K key specifically binds a lot, so I'm gonna just put soap and water in it, and that is helping. Oh no, it just bound up again there. So maybe that's not helping. I don't know if there's something in it, like dirt or someone spilled something on the keyboard. I don't see any evidence of spillage. This feels more like just dust. But the K key is, well, I don't think it even worked, but it bound up. Oh, that did fix it. It's not binding anymore. I'm gonna put some more soap in it. And if anything, I'm actually going to just wash the tops of the keys with some soap. The keyboard is looking about 1 billion times better now. Okay. Get some of this water off of it. I am shocked how much better this feels. It was binding really badly when you pushed on the corners of the keys. Obviously it's wet right now, so that's giving it a bit of lubrication in the switches. But this feels 1 billion times better to type on. And the K key is not binding. So it wasn't a mechanical thing, it was just something inside the switch, I suppose. Amazing. Now, your mileage may vary for this type of thing. Water where I live in Portland, Oregon is extremely soft, I think is the right word. There's not a lot of minerals. Like you can wash your car with your garden hose and it doesn't leave water spots at all. So pretty much that means when you wash something like this, it's not going to leave a bunch of hard minerals behind. Obviously there's minerals in the water. There's some amount of it, but it's not a whole lot. Now, what you can do if you do have hard water is after you do something like this, put this in a tub and fill it with distilled water to displace all of the tap water, and then let it dry out, and then it shouldn't have any deposits behind inside the keys. Now, I think what I'm going to do though specifically is I'm going to put this into my sonic cleaner because a bunch of the key switches were not working, and I think that should really help dislodge some of the whatever, the corrosion or dirt or whatever's inside the contacts or the switches that are keeping them from working. Okay, what I want to do is I'm going to fill this to submerge it so it's covering up the PCB, but I'm going to leave the ribbon cable out of the water. I think we're there. Cool. I'll just add a little bit more water. Okay, and let's get this started. I never remember how to use this. Let's hit 5 minutes on. All right, it's been in there for 15 minutes or so. It's pretty warm. The ultrasonic transducers heat the water up quite a bit. Yeah, that's quite warm. Ooh, yeah, it's about 40 degrees, I think, according to the temperature readout on the front. So, yeah. Feels pretty nice. So this particular thing here has a ball valve for emptying it out. I do have to rinse this because, of course, it's full of soapy water now. In fact, if anything, I should submerge this in water just to help get all that soapy water out of the switches. Okay, it's totally submerged now. So I'm just going to push on all the keys to kind of pump out any soapy water that's in them. So the idea was I first washed this to get all the dirt off of it, then I put it in the sonic cleaner to try to really get anything that was stuck in the switches out. Now I have no idea what kind of switches these are because I can't remove the keycaps, but they might have had some lubricant on them originally that is now probably gone because the sonic cleaner with the soap would have taken that out. So one thing you can do is, if I could disassemble this entirely, then you could re-lubricate the switches. They're special lubricant for key switches. But who knows? This actually feels, while it's wet still, feels pretty good to type on. Yeah, you can push on the corners of the keys now. It doesn't bind up like it was doing before. It still binds a little bit. But some old mechanical keyboard types are just like that. So at this point, I need to dry this. So I think I'm going to take it downstairs and hit it with compressed air first, and then I'm going to stick it out in the sun and let the heat just sort of bake off any of the water that's in this thing. And here's how it looks after blowing all the water off it. Feels pretty nice to type on now. So there's obviously still water inside the switches. So all I need to do now is I'm going to put this out in the sun and let the warmth of the sun really heat this thing up. If you don't have the sun, you can put it over a heating vent or a radiator, just not on it directly, but somewhere where it's nice and toasty. And that should help evaporate all the water out of the keyboard. This is the cleaned up case bottom and the repaired motherboard that was from the main channel, and the keyboard, which has been power washed, has been remounted in the top cover case. And I did give the case a full wash, and I tried to tape back on this little foam pad and it fell off already. I'm not sure where this pad is supposed to go, but I'm just gonna stick it right there over those solder connections just to keep this ribbon cable protected. The bubble wrap flew away when I was drying this off and I don't know where it went. So I washed this keyboard and dried it about a week ago, and this thing sat in the sun for a long time, air blowing over it, I dried it, so I'm confident that it's fully dried. Now when it comes to the key feel, well, the keys are still pretty bindy now that it's dried out, so the water is no longer in the switches as lubrication. It binds quite a bit. In fact, the E key is now getting stuck, which is interesting. I don't remember that one ever doing it. It was always the K key that was getting stuck. They don't bind when you push them in the middle, but that one binds up if you push it anywhere else. So after the washing and the ultrasonic cleaner, my biggest hope is that all of the keys that weren't working when I tested this computer, when I did the repair, are fixed. The feel of the keyboard is really not there, which I really think this needs to be fully disassembled, and a little bit of the special slider wax or really light keyboard oil needs to go onto every single slider, which really means you have to take off every keycap. And if you recall, I can't get these keycaps off. I feel like if I pull them any harder, it's going to break the actual body of the key switch itself, which will render this keyboard useless. Now, if I twist this E, does that stop it from binding? No. No. See, it's stuck down right now. Wow. Now K, which was the one that was very bindy, doesn't really bind anymore. Interestingly enough, the K, well, it's hard to tell with the keyboard, the case is all loose this way, but the sound of K is slightly different for whatever reason. And then let's see about E. E sounds identical to the keys next to it. So I don't know what's going on with the binding. So what I need to do now is reconnect this extremely fragile ribbon cable, and we need to test this thing out. And I gotta tell you, that is much easier said than done. All right, I think that is reconnected. The little metal fingers on top of the plastic are no longer glued down, so they kind of wiggle around, and you just have to be super careful. And I hope I didn't fold one or break one. So let's see if this keyboard actually works. Right, so the option key went to the self-test mode. Now this is a PAL machine, in case you're wondering why the colors look a little bit off. Select was bad, dash, U, M, Z, and the left shift key. Okay, well, right off the bat, select key, okay, that is much better. It was all, I don't know, right word, scratchy before. You'd push it, it would like, it would like chatter, and the thing that says when I'm pushing select, flash and do weird things. Okay. Dash. Dash is fixed. U. Fixed. M. Fixed. Z. Oh no, Z doesn't work. Oh no. Let's check the keys around it. Left shift. Left shift still not working. I'm wondering if there's a problem on the PCB actually, and this isn't even a switch problem. Oh no, V doesn't work, and that wasn't on my list. I'm gonna have to go find the keyboard matrix. So time to test every key and write down exactly what's not working. I'm just grabbing a pen here. Okay, so after doing the testing, what's not working now is the left shift, the Z key, which didn't work before, but now the V key is bad, and that did work before. Return key is kind of flaky, like it's I'm pushing it down, but if I wiggle it around, kind of comes and goes. It also binds up pretty bad. And the brake key doesn't seem to work. I can't remember if the brake key is tested in this diagnostic, but I think that is. And we can actually test that pretty easily if we just go into basic, write a little program, and we try to hit brake. Oh, that does work. So I guess that's not tested in that program. Yeah, that works fine. This user here on Atari H has posted the keyboard matrix for the XL line of computers. I assume it's for this. There's no F1 or F4 or F1 through F4. That's only on the 1200 XL. It looks like the Z key, which is not working, along with the V key, is on the same row as other keys like X and C, which are working. So that right away tells us that this is a switch problem. And if we look at the Z and the C, for instance, all these other keys are working just fine. So we could either have rows or columns that aren't working just because of that bad connection on the motherboard with that flaky ribbon cable, but you would have an entire row or entire column that wasn't working. And it looks like shift, both shift keys are actually connected together. One of them works, the other one doesn't. So that tells us that at least the connection onto the motherboard is okay. That's not to say that there's not a problem on the PCB itself. So one way to validate that is to just use the multimeter and let's check some of the switches that don't work for continuity right on the pins on the back of the PCB. And I'd like to try to do this in a way where I don't have to unplug that ribbon cable again. So I'm going to carefully fold this over. Maybe I'll take the computer and do this with it. I just need to find something to put behind the computer. Okay, so if we look at the bottom of the side of the board, this should be the shift key that's not working, and that's the Z key, and the V key should be this one right there. So let's grab the multimeter. Continuity mode. And I'm gonna lift this up carefully. And I'm gonna hold down the shift key with my finger. Okay, so that's interesting. That tells us there's a bad connection. And then this is the Z key. It's fine. Wow. So Z, X, C, V. Okay, V is actually a bad switch. Wait, I'm pretty sure. I make sure I'm pushing the right key. Shift, Z, X, C, V. Yeah. Okay, so that was actually bad, but there's a bad connection somewhere over, at least with the shift and the Z key. So all we have to do now is just follow these traces. So for instance, this pin connects to here, and it does, but that pin should connect to there, and it doesn't. And that pin should go to this, and it doesn't. And there, and there. If any of these are broken, those are all connected together. All right, so there's definitely a trace problem over here, and that's gonna be the shift and the Z key. So I'm gonna add a bodge wire from there to there to there. And I think that should fix at least the shift and the Z key. 2 bodge wires installed, so from that pin, there's continuity there, there, there. We're good there and there. So that looks all good now. I have no real reason to suspect any other traces are broken because we know that V key is definitely not working and the enter key is dodgy. And I think that was it. I think it was these two plus V, and enter key was not working super great. There we go, Z worked. Shift key works as well. So that's good, but V still doesn't work, and we know enter sort of works, and that was it. So really it's just the V key is not working and return is sketchy. Let's try pulling the keycap off from the V key, because if I can get that off, then I can try to put a little bit of, I'm gonna turn the computer off, I can put a little bit of Deoxit or something down there. No, it refuses to come off. The keyboard is bending, you can see that, right? Arguably the return key is important. It's like, it doesn't make sense. I almost feel like someone has just glued these caps on. I have never run into a keyboard that's behaved this way. So what I'll try doing is just pushing these keys many, many times. It's definitely, we can say that the keyboard going through the ultrasonic cleaning has fixed some of the keys, because these 3 keys plus select were all not working properly, and now they all work and select is working as well. Z and left shift were not working because of the bad trace before, And unfortunately, the side effect of going through the cleaner is that these two keys now are worse. So like something went into them, dirt or something like that. But it is possible that maybe just pushing them a whole lot of time might make it work. If we get the keycaps off, you could just put some Deoxit or contact cleaner down alongside the shaft into the switch body, and that can often revive keys. Maybe not permanently, but at least temporarily. Sometimes just pushing them a bunch of times can also do the same thing though. Look at that, V's working now. Let's go back into the diagnostic mode. I think that gives us a better indication, because if it's bouncing, then we'll be able to see that. Okay, V. Seems fine. Oh, return is better too. Maybe it's not perfect, but wiggling the key no longer causes it to not work. Okay, other keys that weren't working, dash. It's okay. It's okay. M. Wow, the whole keyboard is jiggling. What a terrible design. Wait a second. Did we lose one of the screws? Did one of the standoffs break or something? Because something suddenly is very wobbly here. Yes, there's a screw here. And that came out of the stand-up. And that came out of the keyboard. What happened here? How did that happen? Luckily, it's not broken in the standoff, so I think I just hadn't tightened that one or something. I don't know. No, it's fine. That was odd. Let's put this back. There we go. It's no longer wobbling. Okay, back to keyboard test. So let's just check these again. V is good. U, dash, M. Z is good. Shift key we know is working. Control works as well. And select key. Totally fine. It's quite possible, to be honest, that those other keys that weren't working, not, of course, Z or left shift, we had to fix those, but these other ones might have worked if we just pushed them a whole bunch of time. And I'm not super convinced that when you have to do that to get a key to work again, like these, that they will stay working. I have a feeling they'll kind of go back to being bad. Obviously, just using the keyboard will make it work, but the problem is with a retro computer like this is you might put it away and not use it for, say, a year, and then you break it out to use it, and then you find a bunch of the keys aren't working. I have had really good luck reviving switches in the ultrasonic cleaner, although typically I actually take them off of the keyboard and I put just the switch into the ultrasonic cleaner without having the rest of the keyboard in there, and I run it for a good long time, and I have completely brought back non-working switches. I think I was doing that with ALP switches, which some of them you can take apart very easily, but others you cannot because they're sort of plastic staked together. And those all came back to life. Maybe a couple didn't, but I put like 20 of them into the ultrasonic cleaner, and almost all of them came back to life. I reinstalled them in the keyboard, and to this day, this was a few years ago, the keyboard is totally working. So that's kind of why I put this keyboard into the ultrasonic cleaner, because I couldn't get the keycaps off anyways, which means removing and deinstalling the switches individually would be really difficult, because ideally you need the keycap off, and then you can see like the little whatever holds the switch into the PCB or metal backplate or whatever. You need to be able to like push the little tabs. I can't see those. So I just put the old keyboard in there because I've had that good luck, and that seems to have done the trick. This keyboard obviously is 100% clean. You can see in between the keys now, it's just perfectly clean. There's no gunk, no dirt left. And while the keys are bindy, at least they are smooth. So when you push them in the middle, they don't feel gritty. And it did feel gritty before. Now it just feels pretty nice. Even the K key. Let's see about the E key. Yeah, the E key is somehow worse now, but the K key was unusable before because it would just bind or it gets stuck down. Yeah, I would say this is an unmitigated success. Let me put the screws together on this computer because I'm going to call this whole machine totally fixed. Ah, this is an odd little problem. I just was powering this up to test it out. Power LED doesn't work. Funny. Well, I'm going to leave that as is for now because I don't feel like taking the keyboard apart again because that doesn't affect the operation. But let's just try out a game here. So how about Ball Blazer? Look at those colors. Plus the sound is pretty cool too. Yeah, I kind of love this game's intro on the Atari. It looks really good. Compared to the Apple II version, for instance. Look at this. I love it. There's a little guy who's going to pop his head out and like, hey. All right, let's see. Start. Now, this is on a PAL machine, so I'm not sure if the music is playing slow. I think it is, and the colors may be off slightly, although those colors look good. All right, well, obviously, we're supposed to be in two-player mode here, and we are not. So that doesn't work super well. So there's the ball. So there's the other player, but since I'm just playing one player, oops, it's not as fun. Cool graphics though, isn't it? Okay, so the idea is we're supposed to get this between the goalposts, like that. But generally, you have two players playing, and you're stealing the ball. It's sort of like soccer, football, that kind of thing. Very cool though. So as I have been trying to do with all my machines, just gonna put a sticker on there. It says tested 6th or 9th of June, and it's a PAL machine, just so I know in the future. All right, well, that's gonna be it for this video. I'm gonna say that this keyboard is now fully operational, at least for the time being, other than the fact that it's terrible to type on. But I think that just goes with the territory with on the 800XLs. Some of the keyboards on these machines are awesome, and some are freaking terrible. And this is one of the terrible ones, even though it's mechanical. And I'd love to hear from folks who know more about these keyboards. And is there a way to make this one work better? And have you ever seen one where the keycaps don't come off and maybe I just need to pull with more force and hope I don't break it? I don't know. Like I said, I've never ran into a keyboard where the key switches were stuck. But I wanted to show that putting this thing right into the ultrasonic cleaner and washing the whole keyboard under the tap totally worked and completely A, cleaned up cosmetically this keyboard, and then B, actually fixed some of the switches that weren't working. Although a couple more were dodgy after the fact, right? But anyways, let's ignore that. Let's ignore that. I think this was a pretty successful repair on the keyboard. So there you go. Hope you liked it. If you did, thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Huge thanks to our supporters. Their names are on the side of the screen. And this might be it for all the Atari content for a little while. I think I've pretty much gone through all the Atari machines that I had that were broken. So I'm going to move on to other stuff. I got tons of other things to work on. So don't you worry. And I'm sure more cool Atari stuff will come up in the future because I really want to make a full-on video on the FujiNet. The FujiNet project is so cool. And of course, it really got its start on the Atari, hence the Fuji name because of the Atari logo. Well, pointing to the Atari logo, but the Fuji Atari logo. Anyways, yep, so that's it. And thanks very much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.